Hello, everyone, and welcome to the XPlORHER Now podcast, where everything here is pleasure positive. I just made that up, so we can copyright that later. Welcome to the show, everybody. And today we have quite a few guests here actually in the studio, and I want to introduce all of them. But first, I want to introduce the main star of the show today. We have Miss Ariel Amore.
Hello, everyone. Hi, all you lovers out there, all you sexual beings and creatures. I'm so excited. I hope you're having a fabulous Sunday so far. What better day to talk about things of a sexual nature than on a Sunday, on the holiest of days. My name's Ariel Amore, as our lovely DJ there said, and I'm the marketing director of XPlORHER. It's a lifestyle, it's a brand, it's a movement. You're going to be hearing a lot about us. You're going to be hearing a lot about XPlORHER during the podcast tonight. And it's all meant to break down barriers, increase confidence and intimacy. And today we're specifically talking about the subjects of a taboo manner, or what you would call taboo. And I have some amazing guests in the studio today that know all about the taboo world, the fetish world, that kinky world, all of those things that everybody is thinking in the back of their head but not always saying out loud. But every single one of you have a kink out there, have a fetish, have hammers. Yes, I don't care who you are. We're sexual creatures. Everyone has a kink. So today we are going to explore some of that world. So I want to introduce my guests. So first I have Mr. Michael Pierre of Mr. Pierre Fetish Fashion, which is a fetish clothing company that I've been lucky enough to work with many times. It's amazing. All of the stuff that he has is so incredible. Hello, Mr. Pierre. How are you today?
Hello, I am wonderful, and thank you for having us all on, and also thank you for being a beautiful performer at my Halloween Fetish Gala last year.
That's right. That was so much fun. You guys, I got to dance. I was dressed like the devil, and I literally danced in the middle of a pentagram.
Yes, I'm the one that
you got to dance the pentagram.
Yes, it was on Halloween. It was a pretty special night.
Did
it
you
was
open
fun.
up any portals?
It was fun. No, I haven't.
Them.
You guys,
That you know of.
I haven't joined the Illuminati yet.
Yet.
But I mean, I'm well on my way with Mr. Pierre here.
But you've been one of the most fantastic connections I've made here in Orlando, and I'm then just the.
I know. I love having you. I love knowing that I know like a fashion designer that like makes fetish clothing and works with amazing people. It's kind of like my back pocket. Like, hey, I need an awesome person.
I'm just happy to know you, and tonight now you know a fashion designer because it's all about my team, and now you know.
Yes, I'm so excited to meet the rest of the team. Okay, so next up I have Jam like Jelly. Miss Jam, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Thank you so much for being here, too. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to get to know you a little bit more and dig into your expertise.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I mean, I don't know. Michael dug me up out of the local school, Orlando Tech, and I was taking the fashion studies program.
Oh.
And through that school is how we met.
Very
and
cool.
Now I've just kind of...
They like recruited you on.
Yeah.
Did you expect to be working in
Exploited
this world?
entirely. Just went in to corrupt a fresh young mind.
At least he's honest about it.
That's what I want to know. How did that's got to be a weird interaction, right? How did you even?
Yeah, how do you bring that up?
How do you bring that up? It's like, hey.
Although if I know him, he can't be anything but direct.
Oh, yeah, it was incredibly direct, but it was also very odd because you're asking somebody to come by your workshop, which is basically
House.
like how
His
Apple
house.
started. It's my house.
Okay, no.
You want to come to my house and try on kinky clothing, random stranger in a school?
Well, no, we set
kidnappings
up this interview. Well, we set up the interview over the phone, and he's like, gave me the address. I'm like, all right, cool, GPS, thank you, got it. And then I'm driving around in this neighborhood. I'm like, I'm not in the right place.
Yeah.
There's no way. And
Welcome
then
to the suburbs.
And then he called me up. He's like, no, this is my house. I'm like, okay, cool.
Did you ever have a moment where you're like, what am I doing? Is this cool? Or like, I mean, now with social media, you can look people up. You can kind of do a little background check in a way, I guess, and make sure they're not like too crazy. So
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't look it up. I didn't.
You went balls in.
Oh, thank God.
I'm gonna
Oh,
do
thank
this.
God. She did look it up.
I was so worried about like how I was going to do at the interview that I was just like working on like what I needed to do.
You were eager.
Yeah.
Eager. That's awesome.
I designed my own Power Rangers cat suit.
Say what? Hold up.
Whoa! Why aren't you wearing that right now?
That's fair. It was a green Ranger.
Okay.
She brought it to the interview,
did.
and I was really impressed. Like, wow, this is
That
you
is
used like
really
a full waist stretch spandex.
Because stretchy spandex and like something like that would not be an easy costume to
I
make.
hadn't really had much experience with the stretch vinyl that we use.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I probably should practice it before I go into this interview. So then that's how I went in. I was like, I brought a thing I made.
You brought a
Is it
Power
my
Ranger
God.
with
I
you.
did.
You
I
were the
was a
first
Power
person I've
Ranger,
ever hired
yeah.
that brought a Power Ranger to their interview.
And then little did you know that was going to lead to making male thongs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What a jump. I was
know.
just about to
What
say
a
I like the
jump.
Blue Ranger, and then now we're at male thongs.
just like anything becoming erect, it's morphin'
talented,
time.
widely talented. All right, okay, and so our next guest here is Miss Whitney Morgan, and you have you have to say the Miss because this is a woman that does not take.
Look, I only got into an
anybody.
argument once with a submissive about that. It was just his attitude.
I mean, in public though, like
Yeah, it was in
you
public
know,
at a very fancy steakhouse
So now
in
we know.
Chicago.
Don't forget the Miss, okay? And tell us a little bit about what you do. I know that you are you were recently nominated, right, at the Adult Video Awards.
Yes, I was nominated for an AVN for the Adult Video Awards. And these lovely people right here
I'm so happy for
were
her.
so kind to make me the most beautiful, gorgeous, incredible Mr. Pierre Fetish
My
fashion
gosh.
dress as well.
We're
Custom
gonna have to
dress.
find a picture of that to like.
I actually have a
Put
photo
on our
shoot
page.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we're
Oh.
using smoke bombs that I've never used
God,
before.
those are so fun. How do
But
those look?
I don't know. I've never used them before. That's why I
I've
was like,
seen a lot of really awesome pictures with them.
I finally found a photographer that was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get these actual pictures to you, and they're going to be the way you want them to be, so you
That's
can give them
exciting.
to the people you want to give them to. But yeah, I was nominated for Best Fetish Clip Artist for AVN.
That's super cool. Fetish clip artist. So then is most of your stuff on the internet, like clips on the internet that are shared? Are they
And they are available.
and they're available? Okay.
I consider myself a Jane of all trades in that category. I shoot my own content for my websites. I shoot other
Yes.
girls, other guys.
Literal entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize, I think, that in that industry, like, it's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't just show up and be pretty and, like, here's my body.
Yeah,
You
take
know?
pictures of me.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that goes into it. You're a literal one woman show most of the time to
Yeah.
get your content out there and make money, especially nowadays with like everybody kind of jumping onto the
There's at
adult
least a
industry
lot more
bandwagon.
different outlets to
Yeah.
do it versus
That's good.
10, 15 years ago when I started doing all this. You either could only have your own main website or work for other websites. But
Yeah.
at least now there's
So many different.
so many. It's mind-boggling how many outlets there are now.
Also, as a
Amazing.
content model, how many hours today have you spent on the road?
Almost 6.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Almost, yeah, because I was shooting in the North Tampa area. So from my house, 3 hours, and then
Yeah.
2.5 here.
Yeah. So
Then
the
another
fun-
half
the
hour
fun
home
part-
later.
The fun parts are only like an hour, 2 hours here and there. The rest of it is just traveling, makeup.
Just
Like,
gotta have good music
Yeah.
and have a good
awesome.
attitude.
That's so
Sometimes a
exciting.
good road buddy.
Sweet. And so, how do you know this guy?
I don't remember how we met. Was it at a Halloween? I know it was through,
He outfits you. He dresses you, right? Like,
but it was before that.
It was actually through a.
He answered my Craigslist ad.
I know it was a mutual friend.
It was a local dominatrix named Cindy who introduced me to.
oh, totally
her
normal. Met through the local
photographer.
dominatrix.
But I don't remember if we
Gotcha.
just met hanging out, having drinks. I don't remember.
You
It was
came
one
by
of your.
one of my many soirees.
I knew it was one of your many
does
soirees, but I
have
don't remember
fun
if it was just a normal
parties.
drinking party
Yes.
or if it was one of the mega
was-
insane crazy Halloween parties.
It was Mega Insane Crazy Halloween Party number 168, I believe. Yeah, it was one.
Okay,
of those.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you just pulling that number out of your bum, or
What
That's his whole life.
are you wearing one of your thongs right now?
Well, and
You know,
so
we
we're
could
already
find
talking
that
about
on a
pulling
later
things
video
out of
podcast
bums.
with paid content.
We're
See
not
my
at that point of
OnlyFans.
the show yet. Okay, we'll definitely get into pulling things out of bums. I'm sure at some point because that's
Oh
a thing
no,
for
it's
everybody.
gonna happen.
Okay, but so to start with, I have a few topics and questions that I like to go over and discuss with our audience, with our guests, to kind of get everybody interacting a little bit, to talk about some taboo and sometimes uncomfortable topics that a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about. And, in our studies and research, we found that a lot of relationships tend to end because of being unhappy in the bedroom, but lack of communication about it. And I think that the kink world, the fetish taboo community could play a big part in that, because every person out there has a thing. There's no such thing as nothing, as oh, I just, no, I don't have I like regular sex. They're like there's vanilla, but even the most vanilla of person,
you still got something.
There's
sometimes
something.
you don't even find out until later on in life that
true.
something happened, something triggered it, whether it's watching a movie and all of a sudden I like girls with red heels.
Yeah, and I think people are afraid to talk about it. There's like some weird guilt connected to it sometimes, and so we want to break through that barrier.
Or it's a long connective road to find it, and psychologically you have to break through certain barriers in your mind and you find that you're attracted to it or can't accept it.
So we are ultimately trying to break through those barriers, and the product XPlORHER is really going to focus on relationship enhancement tools that are going to help couples increase their communication, increase their levels of confidence within intimacy. And so starting with that, we talk about size, we talk about the penis, we talk about male size. And
sex?
I know, we're gonna jump right in.
I didn't know that's what we were doing today. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump right in and we're gonna talk about size, because I think that men, yes, it's not, it's for a wide variety of couples, heterosexual, homosexual, and honestly, this product will work for lesbians as well. It's something that can be fit over something. So it's available, and it's going to be available for a wide range of people out there. I think there's a lot of people that'll find good use for it. So size, in the conversation about size in the fetish community, do you find that it matters?
In the fetish community, it's a non-specific variable in my experience. Most people tend to, fetishize penis size, penis girth on a spectrum. They either want to appreciate and worship larger sizes, or they want to appreciate and worship smaller sizes, mid-range sizes, or they want to have a glorification or a shaming depending on their kink on any.
So people
part
are
of the
more
spectrum.
kind of open-minded across the spectrum.
Oh, especially within the fetish community.
Because the shaming thing, I will say and I'm sure you ladies know from anyone that's ever received a dick pic, it seems like the people who send dick pics want you to shame them.
Yeah.
Like, that is the purpose of sending the picture, and they love it. So the more shit you talk about it, the more they're like, here, let me send you more. Let me send a video now. And that's crazy. So, but in the fetish community, there are people who can they get off on that, so they can go to someone and have that done.
But that also comes down to
Consensually.
one thing that I absolutely object to every time is there is kind of a non-consensual thing about receiving an unsolicited nude of any kind.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's something
I
always want to combat.
Don't send dick pics, people.
Don't send.
Don't
dick
do
pics.
it.
Just
Don't do it.
Don't. And
I feel like people go over this a lot too, and they still do it. So I don't know.
Somebody's
Maybe
just
it's
not
because-
getting the point, and somebody is
well,
being.
maybe it's because they can't tell their significant
being a penis
significant
about it.
other that they want them to shame their penis in the bedroom.
I think you are spot on with that, because I mean, at least in my field of work I shoot a lot of custom fetish videos, that a lot of them happen to be males that are married or in a relationship, and their significant other has utterly no clue what they're personally into, and their only way to escape that is to be able to talk to open-minded girls on the internet that are already fascinated or intrigued or experienced and educated in those certain genres, and to consume their products in shame.
And which is why the sex industry and the porn industry is one of the biggest multi-billion-dollar industries in the world. It's always going to be there. But, couples can absolutely benefit from having those conversations, being able to kind of, but I guess in a lot of ways, it's like, how would you open the door for that conversation? So what in your realm of things, in the designer realm and in dealing with customers, the size thing, do you think that matters in terms of confidence? Like having a person feel confident in themselves to be in like a tiny thong or show their body?
Yeah, I don't actually think it's about size. It's about the confidence thing and about being comfortable with their own body. And that happens all over all of our kinks and fetishes, is being confident or learning about our bodies and what we like.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to size specifically, like it could be anything, because I do a lot of banana hammocks. All right. So some of them, like, they're like, yeah, I would like this one to only cover 5 inches tall and 2 inches wide. And you're like, that's it. And I have other ones that you're like, well, now we're fitting a 40-ounce can in there. All right. So I mean, there's quite a range of
There's
people
a big range.
Of people who want our products or just want to, have a sexual experience. So it doesn't really matter for size. It just matters of what they do with it with their own life in their body.
And funny enough, I feel like the kink community is more accepting of all ranges and all varieties, because it is statistically known that the majority or the average male penis is 5.6 inches long, I believe. That's their, so just under 6 inches is your average. So most men are average, but they don't feel, what was it? 5.5. I was even one up.
Close enough.
Yeah. So most.
We have deeper metrics on that on a more international level on a spreadsheet.
You do?
Very deep down in the dark web
Really?
of our Google Drive. Yes.
I would be interested in
I would
seeing
be
that.
very interested in seeing that, because how deep
we
does
have
it
a
go?
lot of data about penises in the last 10 years.
Really on just
yes.
how
We'll
we
have
cover
to-
it. Yeah.
Swap notes. We'll have to swap notes after this.
So there was I got a question. Don't joke on me for this, but what is a banana hammock? Because it sounds delicious.
Basically, any pouch-based
do I buy this
men's
at Kohl's?
swimwear you can have, it's going to be your banana resting gracefully inside of a hammock, resting on the sun of the day.
So the thong with the kind of curved out pouch.
I really wish for a video podcast I had worn one today so I could just be the surprise. But no,
That was my next question.
No,
was,
did you
why
plan
didn't you
anything?
If
prepare?
you'd asked me 2 days ago where she was subjecting me to her new sizing tests, yes.
But you can
the answer
go
would've
to
been
your
yes.
website to look at them if somebody wanted to see what it looked like.
Yes, they can. They can go to MrPierreFashion.com and they can look at our men's underwear section, and they can also basically look at Mutiny Custom Clothing's Etsy and
sexy fetish brand, fetish wear clothing.
Yeah, but mostly like we're actually going into beyond the fetish fashion line. We're actually launching our own gay men's focused men's swimwear line, because honestly, about I would say 7 or so years ago, back when I first got into this business, about 10 years ago. God, I'm getting old.
You and me both.
I'm now 10 years into the kinky spandex clothing business. I just had the realization.
But now you're going to be making a lot of banana hammocks then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, about 10 years ago, we realized that after being in the suggestively kinky fetish clothing business, we had a lot of fabric scraps left over from making leggings and cat
what
suits.
better thing to do than make
What
a
do you
hammock?
do with this minor fabric scrap? So we
That's a
started
good
making
idea.
like men's G-strings and things like that. And next thing you know, it became a tent pole of the business. We started supplying
That's awesome.
bodybuilders.
10
and-
pull.
10 pull, nice.
Pun intended.
But also,
Thank you.
the fashion industry creates a lot of waste too. So
Yes.
this is one of our ways of mitigating that, of reducing how much waste
Speaking
we
of
put
the
out
fashion industry, what would you say from an outside perspective, even in the fetish wear clothing company, does the fashion industry play into the insecurities, or I guess the way that the media portrays how a man should feel about size? Like if they, because the way that it shows, like everybody wants to have a big one because that's what the media shows like you're supposed to have. That's what makes everybody happy. Like, versus like, wah, wah, oh, so sad. Like, so in the fashion world, from your perspective, do you feel like that's something that I guess the marketing and in the mainstream like fetish adult world,
I
are they
can't
more
really
forgiving?
speak to that specifically because honestly, like I'm not personally as a maker paying attention to my client's size.
Gotcha.
Like in that specific way.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what works best for them and what they feel confident in. So I mean,
do you have a range of the sizes that you've seen the most of based on what you've made?
not really. Like, well,
It's actually kind of a condensable variable because most flaccid genitalia kind of fits in kind of the same
small
forms.
areas. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so I want to move on to our next little. We're going to talk a little bit more about XPlORHER and what it is and its purposes. So I know you guys got a little bit of a rundown on
Go
the
in it.
product itself. So it's not on the market yet. It will be soon, and it's essentially a sheath that goes over the male penis and has a ribbed area that inflates with natural chemical reaction in it. That has one area that inflates, but like you said, you can move it around for different positions, for different sexual orientations, different people. And so it's something that can be used to put on virtually anything, a penis, a dildo, hand, whatever.
It's an enhancement application.
It's an enhancement application.
It's an augmentation application.
Yes.
Basically.
And it is disposable. It's something that'll come in packages of multiples.
Interesting.
It'll eventually be on shelves right next to like condoms, basically. So the idea is that it's essential in any relationship to be able to openly talk about what is falling short in the sexual area of your relationship,
Or not falling wide.
or not falling wide. Exactly. Well, and as you know, the owner of the company did extensive research and discovered that the biggest complaint that women have about not being sexually satisfied is because all of the areas are really not being hit. The internal nerve endings that women have are not being focused on. They're not being hit.
I learned so much last week than I think I ever did in sex ed.
Yes. He
in
did
school.
his research. He did his research.
I'm not even joking.
I learned more about my own vagina than like, I was like, what? Like oh my God, that makes so much sense. Yeah. So it's science, guys. Sex is science.
I was about to say I would have to yield my time on the floor to my associates that actually possess vaginas. I mean, I'm sure I can talk about how pleasurable it is for a guy to have sex all day because it's fairly simple.
Well, so in yielding that time, I will ask the ladies, when it comes to sex personally, I hate asking, do you have size preference? Because I think that we're kind of conditioned to think the bigger the better most of the time.
I get to learn so much about my employees today.
No.
There's a medium. There's an average size for a reason.
Yes.
And that average size is typically the best size.
Okay.
Because if it's too small, you're not hitting all the right areas.
Right.
If it's too big, it's painful. It's
Yes.
not fun. It's not
not
pleasurable.
Fun. It's not fun. We talked about the whole hitting the cervix thing and how so many women will be
Tink,
like,
tink,
and I know some people enjoy that for the pain and the pleasure of the pain. But generally, I'm like, that's not what the average woman is going for. They're not saying like hit my cervix and destroy my insides. Like they're,
Wait a second. You're telling me that what I watch on the internet is not real?
What?
So
Don't tell
sorry.
anybody I'll be out of a job.
I know. We want you to keep thinking that, but also know in the back of your mind that you can't do that.
I love how most adult content performer like clients and models of mine, they're like, you need to stop trying to have sex like us because it's not
not normal.
No. You're planking.
Yeah.
You're planking for like an hour and a half for no reason.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
nobody's getting off. No one's happy.
No.
Everyone's just stressed
Like
out.
a tap on the shoulder, like, are you done?
Yeah. And
I
so
want to go watch Netflix.
Not everybody is really concerned about relationships. So it's not necessarily always about relationships. I think when it comes to confidence, it's just about your ability to be open and communicative about what you want in the bedroom with whoever you're with, whether it's a relationship or a hookup, regardless. So the idea of XPlORHER is to help give that confidence, not just to men, because yes, they can have it in their side table and they can whip it out and be like, hey, this is going to make you feel great. Let's try it. But also plenty of women can have that in their side table and whip it out and say, hey, let's try this. Like that's the idea, is to open up the conversation. So now that you know a little bit about XPlORHER, do you think that it's something that you could see yourself not only using in your own personal experiences, but like talking to your friends about, being able to say like, hey, have you heard of this new product? I don't know how much people talk about like, I guess in this world, you probably do talk about
we're a little
dildos.
different, but
we're very.
I mean, I'm
we're
itching
very
to try it.
specific demographic. Yeah, I've never turned away a toy or an enhancement in my life.
No,
so,
they're always fun to try. Always fun to try.
Never rage against the machine. Just
Yeah.
yeah. Or
Yeah.
the add-on.
Right. And I feel like it's something that is definitely going to become almost a necessity in the bedroom for a lot of people. Just like you hope that certain toys are like, what are your go-to toys that you keep?
I guarantee the second you see it popping up in every 60-second video
will
on
say-
Pornhub, then it's going to be your.
I will say we don't refer to it as a toy because it's not going to be in the toy category. It's a tool.
It's a tool. It's an augmentation.
Yes.
It's an enhancement.
Enhancement. Exactly. So moving on. So expectations about sex. I feel like from the time that we're younger, our sexual education.
About sex, I'm leaving right now.
not at this very moment, but
thank God.
Yeah, I think you're off the hook for now. But in terms of education, in terms of the youth, I guess, and then what you learn in high school, it's basically bullshit compared to like what you really experience
Or
when
lack
you get out there
thereof,
in the
because
world.
we basically have the least sex education
it's
of
terrible.
any
It's
educational
awful.
system of any
Absolutely
country in the
awful.
world.
Absolutely. And so then taking that into consideration, when you were younger,
Did you know
and
you have a
first-
clitoris? I hate
What?
to break it to you.
I know.
Mind
Check this out.
blown.
I'm gonna check this out.
I'm gonna go Google it.
Do you know how many people do not? They don't understand not only that, but they don't understand the internal nerve endings. Because there's also
That's
too
where
much
you pee out
clitoral
of, right?
stimulation.
That's where it all happens.
Listen, if
You
you're
had these questions from men before, so thank you for letting me
I
relive
know.
this.
But you know what though? It's not
There
not
are
uncommon.
grown ass men that don't know that.
I know, which is
It is disturbing.
And I am one of them. Thank you. Thank you.
This is the point. This is the whole point, right? We want people to be like, ding, ding, ding.
And no one can speak about sex. It seems in our like my European customers that come in, even my Canadian customers. But I have to say, it's very difficult to talk to my American customers first and foremost.
Why is that?
Literally
sex
2
is
months
taboo.
ago,
It's
I
in and of
had
itself.
someone come in and he said that, well, I was just curious because I feel like I have a sizing issue, and every man feels like he has a sizing issue. He's either up or down in the sizing issue.
Yeah.
And God help the ones that just think they're, oh, can you fit all this?
What was his issue though?
His issue was that, well, I just feel like that.
He was too big.
And no, his issue, and it was so perfectly like said to make me like not blush over an email, but he said that, well, I wonder if you would be able to accommodate, and I'm not sure. I have a sizing issue with my love wand.
He said love wand.
And at that point, I'm just like, my sweet summer child.
Wait.
I'm not even like
He said
embarrassed
this in
or
an
concerned.
email?
It said it in an email on
Because-
Etsy, and
oh my
I'm just like, well,
goodness.
I'm
why
not
is
even
it- okay,
upset.
so
I'm
there
just
are
caring at
Bad
that point.
views.
Yeah,
I think
there
maybe
are.
he was trying to be a little PG on Etsy because
Yeah,
he didn't
maybe.
want to
That
say
would be.
But
penis
nobody-
because you could get.
Nobody.
You
but
got my
nobody had to,
email.
Yeah. Oh. Your love wand is normal and everything is fine. But yeah, he just there's no education about sizing, and there's no education about any of
it's
that.
funny that using the terminology for the genitalia is almost more blush-inducing than love wand.
For love
That
wands,
someone would say that over the word penis, or
they would have been uncomfortable with the word penis, and I'm just like,
But-
that's probably the most used word of our day, other than inch.
Yeah. So as I guess as individuals in your personal experiences from, let's say, when you lost your virginity, you really discovered the sexual world versus today where you're at, how have your expectations of sex and what it should be changed?
So I would have had to lose my virginity to answer that question.
Oh my
Damn.
God. No lies here, sir.
No, it honestly, yeah, my perception about sex and sexuality really changed a lot by entering this industry, and that's kind of how my sexuality was formed, and it just basically became, well, common by contrast. All my stuff happens.
Would you
on
say you've become more like confident?
The cobbler's son has no shoes. All my stuff happens on a bed. I don't know how Jam's life has changed since I roped her
so
into
tell
this
us,
industry.
Jam, like jelly.
And you came out of the military and into fashion school and into
Really?
this.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
that's
Oh,
fascinating.
snap. G.I. Jam.
I know.
G.I. Jam.
I love that. That's fascinating. I love that people can cross
That's
so
my
many
new
different
hashtag.
spectrums, and-
Yeah. My goodness. So as far as like my personal sexual development, though, like, okay, I grew up in a very
Your boss is watching, Jam.
conservative Christian household.
Okay.
You did not.
Girl, me too. Yay for
Yeah.
Bible camp and youth group and
No,
all that.
I used to teach Sunday school. Like things have
yes,
changed.
worship leader.
Right.
Yeah.
So and just things were very taboo, and man,
You didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about
I know
sex.
it existed.
Yeah.
I knew, it was it. Like
Yeah.
you didn't even say sex. It was it.
Yeah, and
like,
I literally did not even go to the like sex education class that they had where they like put the condom on the banana. I couldn't even go to that. I had to sit in the library for that.
oh
So
yeah, right.
yeah, like
you didn't learn the
extreme.
banana? The rolling
No,
banana?
I didn't.
Little
Also, I got pregnant at 19. So there you go.
See, maybe you should have
Right?
went to the class.
Lack
All right.
of education, lack of education, lack of
I
communication.
didn't know if there was a high
It's
five
huge.
moment or not.
High five of
I mean,
shame.
he's pretty cool. So it turned out okay. But so coming from that, I'm sure you probably went through your little wild let's do it all moment, because I know I did.
Yeah, there was definitely an awakening.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
happened. Then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try this. I want to try this. I want to try this. So, and when I was finally able to feel that confidence within myself, that's when I was like, all right, now let's try real things, you know?
Yeah.
And it took way too long, in my opinion, but it happened when it happened. So, and like,
Well, I mean, I think that we don't really reach a sexual awakening until later in life, though. You know,
True.
definitely not in like our early 20s when we're fucking everything. Like,
because your hormones are crazy.
Right?
So, but yeah, like, I'm so happy that I was, you know, actually able to finally learn things about myself that I liked. And then once I entered this job, a big wake up call was like all of these different things I was making. And then we went to Fetish Con. And
You're
then
like, ooh,
people
what is all this?
People were just straight up open about all of their likes and dislikes.
It's amazing. It's like a different world, but so accepting at the same time.
Exactly. And it's all about, it's not about like overpowering or dominating. It's about communication, and it's about like trusting one another and building that trust. It's about the relationship as well as all of those acts.
And
that
it's
you
so
do
funny
together.
that the kink and the taboo industry is more focused on relationships and communication, consent, full acceptance of like self and all of that. Yeah, all of that more almost than the mainstream average person. So it's like, in a way, that's with XPlORHER, we're sort of trying to get people more comfortable diving into that world a little bit more, you know?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, so
Hold
homecoming.
on.
Well,
So,
yeah.
Jam, did you have any issues like when you decided to get into this field from like your family or your friends? Because you grew up in, you know, that lifestyle that. Okay, you're smiling because I know something happened.
She's wincing.
All right.
I've met her mom
All right,
and dad.
so-
They're delightful people.
Lay it on us. What happened?
My parents still think I'm a costume designer.
Well, I mean, you
And
kinda-
I make
Technically.
costumes.
Power Rangers.
That's just Halloween costumes.
Exactly. I make costumes and I make swimwear.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
Why does this have a hole in the bottom?
It's very rarely in the
Zippers
bottom.
don't go there.
But once we started making masks a few months ago, I shared that link, our Etsy link, with a lot of my family, and then there's the mask, and then it says, "Try these related products from our store." And then you see
there's the
these-
crotchless leggings.
man.
and the panties and the cat suits all on that little suggested
No.
line, and they're like,
Gosh.
"What are you?"
That's
what you doing?"
hilarious.
So my parents have never directly addressed it, but some of my aunts and uncles know.
You know what though? They're just scrolling through, just looking.
But they
that
support
looks
it, and I think-
interesting. And then the clothing, in a way, is a great way to open up conversation too, because I think you can kind of tell when a kink kind of perks them up a little bit when they're looking at things and they're like, "Hold on, what is that?" Like, what's
Absolutely. That curiosity, I want to know more.
Yes,
Yes.
So
exactly.
are you like truly free now to express yourself, or do you still kind of limit a little bit of what you shared
Yes,
to your
tell us,
family
Jam.
and stuff? There it is again.
I know that pain right now.
Yeah.
So I know that.
Yeah. I mean, my parents are still very conservative Christians, so you know, we just don't talk about certain things.
Yeah.
And you know, when you avoid things, that's the healthy thing to do.
That's nice, dude.
Right.
Your
Of
job
course.
sounds nice.
All
dude.
right, Miss Whitney, I
Yeah.
want to hear yours too.
Which portion here? Where are we starting
Yes.
from?
So the expectations of your expectations of sex when you were younger, like say when you first lost your virginity, first kind of stepped into the sexual world, versus now, and where you're at now, and how you've grown and what you've learned.
I wouldn't say I grew up as in a conservative household as far as this level that Jam was, but it was definitely, we didn't talk about sex. My mom has still referred to me as being born out of her butt. She's never said the word vagina.
Really?
Never said the word vagina in front of me. I'm 35.
Oh my goodness.
Still not. That's why I was saying it's interesting that your family just kind of found out. Mine just found out 17 years into this industry and 20 years practicing kink.
Wow.
As far as
And
expectations.
they just found out.
Yeah.
So like, how deep did they find out? Like,
Interesting phrasing.
like they just see a
Good
sexy
question.
Did they
picture?
find a link?
They found everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
They just knew I did makeup and modeled friends' clothing sometime.
that sense, our clothing
but
is rather
as far as the expectations, I think I have learned so much more. Like as far as I knew things, I was interested in things, and I had expectations of them being fun. But as far as actually safe playing and practicing BDSM, I never really got into it on an adult level, really, or a mature educational level until I hit 30, really.
Okay. So now, though, being that you're where you are in life,
Old.
just more experienced. What would you say that you've learned that's different than the experiences that you had? The one key thing, if you were going to talk to your younger self, like what have you learned this far?
This is your body. This is how you use it to make yourself pleasured first, and how to get yourself really to that point of making sexual experience or BDSM related or kink experienced where it's not I'm just in the moment. It's that I actually get to live it, feel it, understand it, and have a good time with it, since I'm more experienced at knowing what my body likes and what I want to get out of that moment.
So now that
I
you're
remember
there,
one of your notes, you said you get more ownership of yourself.
Did
I remember
say
that.
I
You said
don't know.
ownership.
I say a lot of things.
Yeah, you do, but I pay attention
All right,
because you're my friend.
so how did you feel when your parents found out? How did that work out?
Not good.
Not
It's only
good?
been a month now. What's today?
Only been a
Yeah, it's
month?
only been a month.
It's new. It's fairly new.
Yeah, it's real new.
Oh man.
We haven't spoken. They send me nasty emails.
Well, okay.
Because
well,
that's the adult thing to do is ignore it and just go straight
And
for blame.
You got outed
It's so
hard.
unfortunate.
I did get
You
outed
got
hard.
outed really hard. Yeah.
That's so
I was
unfortunate because
watching
at the
that.
same time, it kind of makes me wonder, like, do your parents, like, do they have sex? Do they talk
No.
about sex? Do they?
No.
They just don't.
No.
No,
They
just,
already made the baby.
Yep.
they've
Job's
just
done.
accepted.
Yep, that was
done.
it. It was one and done.
man.
One and done.
Well,
yeah.
we're
Like,
hoping,
whoa, thank
you
God
know,
that's
in the
over.
future.
All right. We're
Hoping
done
in the
here.
Give it
future
time.
we can avoid.
Maybe.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's
I got
move on.
really lucky in
so
terms of parents. Oh my
kind of
goodness.
getting away from the heavy emotional
Well, no.
trauma
wait,
stuff.
I'm not done with the emotional trauma here.
Oh,
You've got
man.
bring it on.
Emotional
All right.
trauma.
Give me your best.
So my mother was born in 1956. No, just kidding.
So was my dad. No.
I just outed my mother's age. She will now disown me even more than
she's
being a
already
predator.
done
Oh.
so many
She's-
terrible
yeah,
things.
I'm very
Do your parents, does your family know, like, what part of the business that you're in, what you
Yeah.
do? Because your
yeah,
mom.
she started a fetish clothing company. And
That's
I,
right.
Yeah,
So that's funny because you have a completely different perspective than these ladies.
Yeah.
That you were kind of born into this world in a way.
Very much so. Yeah. No, my mother actually, she was a child of the summer of love, and
Yeah.
she was a teenage runaway in the late 60s, early 70s, and and she actually
She's listening now and really angry.
She yeah.
Did that shape your relationship?
I've already outed her age by year, so
Oh, man.
I'm gonna get death threats from my mother now.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, she actually she was a teenage runaway, and she had a sewing machine at a rental house that was
Wow.
squatting in with her friends. So she used to steal fabric scraps out of the dumpsters of the fabric shops, and she made very skimpy bikinis and stuff.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, I used to walk down to the OBT strip clubs because they are still there.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, it's
They're
a
very
really
much known for
brilliant
that.
start.
Yeah.
It
She used
is.
to walk in with a
It's clever.
handful of
Yeah.
bikinis, and she'd walk out with like all 16, 17 with a handful of cash because you couldn't buy those things anywhere else. There were
Oh, wow.
there was no Fair Villa, there was no Amazon, there was no sex toy shops, there was no
Yeah.
sex clothing shops. She used to walk in and just walk out with fistfuls of cash that she immediately used to spend on concert tickets and
I mean,
LSD.
it's the
I'm just kidding.
American
She was
dream.
16 and blonde. She never spent money on a concert ticket in her life. No, my mother never.
So so growing up into that, being around that, how did that affect how you viewed sex and relationships when you were young like that versus right now today?
Oh no, it was a complete anti-didactic thing. You know, my mother was always very open about her sexuality, and we always had conversations where we were subject to that. It's like, oh well, yeah, you know, all these music videos, they look very troublesome to me, but I suck Ted Nugent's penis, so that's. You know, that's just,
Okay, so there was
Yeah.
nothing off limits.
It
in
looked better. It
conversation.
looked better backstage, but all these rap videos, I don't know. They're doing it out there in yards, and I at least got to go backstage.
So I got
So,
you.
yeah.
What's a
So-
WAP?
And that was in the middle of a Costco, mind you. Like, Mom,
How does your mom feel about Cardi B and WAP?
I have not
WAP,
had that
whatever.
conversation about
would
WAP
love
with
to
my mother
know
because
what your
I
mom
know
feels
my
about
mother
it.
would immediately launch into her wet ass. pussy.
Well, I know what
These
Jan's
girls don't know
Jan's
what
parents
that
would
is.
say. They're like, WAP stands for worship and praise.
Yes.
I actually
go.
listened to a church a church comedy podcast, like it's like a spoof or whatever. And all right. So what does WAP stand for? We are praying. And then,
my God.
So
There's
then,
the
like,
Lord in this house. There's the Lord in this house.
When I met her father, he had a
someone's
shirt.
gonna copyright that.
He had a shirt on that said FBI, firm believer in Christ. And like, wow, you guys don't even make the shirts right, do you?
Oh man, that's oh my God. Okay,
Your dad's a delight, by the way.
we're done with trauma,
Yeah.
emotional
We're
trauma.
done with parental
But
trauma.
those are all very, like, to me, incredibly interesting perspectives.
Makes you think like what
Yeah.
like maybe you need a happy medium. You can't be too strict and too conservative.
Yeah,
You can't
that's
be too
too
you need that
wild.
happy medium growing
Because
Yeah, but it
otherwise,
all-
you just make a bunch of kids that either make stuff that covers penises or kids that step on them. I mean, we don't know.
But it all comes down to like finding that like happy place of being confident in who you are and yourself, and like living your best life, but being confident and not feeling like you have to hide anything or hold anything back.
Well, that's
to
everything.
please
That's
other
everything in
people.
its entirety. It's
Yeah,
about
and that's the beauty of
embracing
this
the beauty
world.
of who you are and your desires.
So a little less heaviness. Getting into, I like to go over like embarrassing, funny stories, sexual experiences that you've had, that just embarrassing stories. But in your guys' world, I feel like there's some really fun and interesting ones.
I feel like they're mostly. I think I've had less embarrassing situations in my personal life than I have in my professional one, because we get them all and
Yeah.
we love it because we're actually the ones.
Well,
that get
let's
to
say
supply
more
it.
personal. Let's say more personal, embarrassing,
Personal?
or embarrassing or funny in terms of like a personal sexual experience.
Oh, get going with that. All right, I'm gonna yield my time on the floor for the moment while I calculate that
Okay.
one up.
You gonna put it together? Got you.
Let's
Jam.
yeah,
Let's start with you.
Let's
She's
deal
like,
this one out.
Okay.
Deal
I
this
was-
card around the table.
I was scared that you'd ask this question because I listened to a
Uh-oh.
previous episode. I was like, oh crap.
Oh, did you hear my story about going to the ED clinic?
Yeah.
Oh, you heard it because you listened to our podcast
Yes,
already.
yes.
Yeah.
Follow us on Apple, Stitcher, iTunes, all of that
Yes.
jazz.
To listen, to find out all about Phil and his experience having a needle shoved into his
That
penis.
sounded so terrible.
Yes.
Anyway, so
Hashtag sounding ones.
so I'm gonna do like a quick version because it's
Yes, we're getting low on time,
right.
so we're gonna do the silly stories quick, and then
So as a teenager, I was trying to explore my own body, and I got a toy from Spencer's because they're novelties and not adult things.
It
to
is the
purchase.
easiest, best place to grab one when
really
you're,
is.
you know,
I
you
know.
can't get into those 18 and up stores.
So exactly. So
Thanks, Spencer's.
I, as a brilliant teenager, I was like, okay, where do I put this thing? Right? Like, where do I? On my body, I figured that out. No,
thank
I
God.
figured that.
okay,
out.
like where do you keep it?
But where do I store it that my
Okay.
mom, my snooping
Oh no,
mother, won't find? Well, for a while, being a hygienic teenager, I just shoved it in between my mattress and box spring.
Okay.
Okay, that was
That's where
my-
they always check, though.
Okay, but that's not where they found it. Because, I'm doing that right before I go to sleep, right? So I'm like, right, fall asleep, cool. And I just left it in my sheets and didn't even think about it, and I left for school.
Oh no.
And then my mom goes in to make my bed.
She was horrified.
Well,
And I didn't know about this all day, but at the end of the day, I was calling my parents, hey, can I stay late from school? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, you have to go home right
You have
now.
to come home right now.
I was like, I've already missed the bus. Like, Dad's going to come pick you up.
Oh
Like,
man, they found a tool of the
that
devil
was
in your
the-
bed.
Exactly.
Oh man.
It was the most awkward conversation I've ever had with my father.
Yeah, that sounds pretty horrible. Okay, we got to move on really quick to you, Miss Lady. Give us your most embarrassing.
As far as personal, the first time I ever took one of the female enhancing pills, which some of them really do actually work. They make you a little
What
bit
do they
moist-
enhance?
moisture.
Okay.
They give her that whap.
oh
Yeah, gives you that whap.
Okay.
First time ever queefing in front of someone.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't really know that could happen. I was like,
And then what do you do?
Should've
Do you,
given you
is
more
it,
I
penis
just-
than
do you
air.
stop like a fart and go like, do you say excuse me? Like what do
I
you
was
do?
like, I'm sorry. I was just like dead, just completely dead. And was like, I swear I didn't fart. We both just started laughing then eventually. Like
Oh,
he started
God.
laughing and I started laughing.
that's good. At least you
Which
could
it
laugh it
led
off.
to a better thing. And as far as a professional mishap, a most embarrassing thing, did a trampoline session and slipped, fell,
Trampoline session.
walking on a gentleman.
Oh, okay.
And
Gotcha.
slipped, fell, and broke my nose in the back of his skull.
no.
You were at FetCon that year too.
I
That
was.
is-
Oh,
you
yes.
won. You won hands down.
Yeah, okay. Yes, now I remember.
You won hands down. Okay, well, we're getting close to the end of our timer. So before we go, I
So-
want to make sure that you guys get a chance to plug yourselves.
Oh, yes,
So if you
absolutely.
can work that into an embarrassing
please
story.
do.
Oh, yes. No, I can work that in. So, yes, over at MrPierreFashion.com, we have often supplied the occasional fetishist, and the one time that I had the first professional confounding was somebody wanted a spandex vinyl catsuit made inside out.
Okay.
Whereas you have the gloss on the outside, it looks very like
They wanted the
latex
gloss
like.
on the inside?
They wanted the gloss on the inside,
Interesting.
and by repetition, we messed it up 2 times. Like we made it like the proper way 2 times.
Okay.
And then so we finally made it the right side, inside out, and send it to them. And I had to ask, like, well, wait, what? If I may ask, what's the purpose of having the gloss inside? And the customer was very, very open about it. Said, oh well, I actually enjoy public urination and I actually like to, sit down on
Get out.
public benches and stuff, and the gloss being on the inside lets the urine travel cleanly out of my leg and down into the ground.
Wow.
What?
So that's like a thing for people. That's a fetish. So the people that are doing it, like in New York on the street and everywhere, it's not just because they're lazy and they don't want to find a bathroom. It's because
their thing.
it's their thing.
And that's my
They-
professional
So now you
story.
can't kink shame them now.
Oh,
That's
no, I can't kink shame them at all.
definitely
My personal
one I have
story
never heard before.
that I'm going to play in and then close out is that about 3 years ago, when I found myself in a new relationship,
Mm-hmm.
the first time we were having any kind of like sexual experience together, she had to stop me during let's just say a speech moment, and she
Fellatio.
yeah,
Cunnilingus.
yes.
There we go.
The part with the vagina in my mouth. But yeah, and then she said, "Wait, I have to tell you. I have to tell you." And then she apparently cannot orgasm without a bit of a spray.
Oh.
And so that was apparently her issue. She would have to, masturbate on a towel. She had a constant,
She was like a
flow.
squirter?
She was a squirter.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I was trying to be as diplomatic. I couldn't find the diplomacy you did.
I don't know if there is a female ejaculate.
I mean,
Yeah.
you made me think of like a cat,
But
like
then-
spraying.
Of all then months and months later, my birthday came around. We had a fantastic birthday party for me, and we was Playboy bunnies and all that. It was lovely. And then she gave me as my birthday gift a waterproof jersey mattress liner.
How thoughtful.
That's the most Amazon-y
See,
sweet
and that is
gift.
what communication will get you.
Yes, please
Yes,
communicate.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. This has been so much fun. I feel like I learned so many amazing things. I feel like we covered some great topics. So
Thank you for letting us
hopefully,
talk about modeling and fashion. And
yes.
thank you
And
for having
everyone
us.
that's listening, please leave us comments, questions, anything at all that we can talk about next time, that we can talk to them about.
Or if you got a funny story too.
If you have a funny story,
Ooh.
yeah, I want to collect all the funny stories so that I can tell them on the podcast. I won't put your name in there, but send us all the funny stories. Thank you guys so much for being here. You
you.
can go to XPlORHER, www.XPlORHER.com/podcast to listen to this. It's also streaming on Spotify, iTunes, Google. Did you say Twitch?
All
Is
of
it-
them.
All
Well,
of them. All of
everything.
them. It's everywhere. So there's no excuse. You can listen to it in your car, in the bathroom, with your headphones, away from your super conservative parents or significant other or whatever, and learn a thing or two, and maybe, hear something that feels relatable to you. So thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next time.